Hey Pasa YouTube, this is Acid Root. So I'm going to talk to you guys about Tego Calderón's second album, The Underdog slash El Subestimado. Now, Tego Calderón only had like a number of albums, especially after his El Abayarde Contra Taka album from 2007. Really, since 2007, uh, Tego Calderón has only put out one project past his third album, and that's this LK Sabe Sabe. But back in the 2000s, he was kind of around more, and I saw him as like a pretty neat and clean alternative to Don Omar and Daddy Yankee back in the day. Both of those guys were kind of blowing up kind of on MTV and having a lot of crossover singles. Tego Calderón kind of gets one with Los Mate. But yeah, basically, this is not an album review. This is me reviewing the singles. There were 4 singles off of the Underdog album. And this to me seemed to be one of Tego Calderón's most breakout points. I remember him from back in the day collaborating with Cypress Hill a few times. But the thing that he kind of had, like it seemed like he didn't get as many projects out as he needed to, but I am glad that this one was pretty rock solid and has some definite dance cuts on here that kick a lot of ass. So I'm just gonna have to say, so I like there's not a lot of backdrop about this guy really. I mean, it does like his biography is not Tego Calderón's biography is not very like entirely extensive to the point where I can have a lot of factoids to kind of say about him apart from the fact. I mean, it just feels like really it kind of seemed like his El Abayarde album was pretty good, but then that lasted from 2002 into 2005. But it just kind of seemed like his career was kind of come and go. Maybe he was kind of like Fabulous if I had to equate him to somebody. I felt like Daddy Yankee was more like 50 Cent or Eminem, and Don Omar was kind of like maybe Lil Wayne or like Jeezy or someone like that. You know, someone who was kind of around, but then to a certain degree. But um, I feel like I feel like Tego Calderón gives me more of like Fabulous and Jadakiss kind of vibes, and also maybe like someone like someone like maybe Lil Flip, someone like that who had like a good 2 or 3 or 4 projects, but just not in overabundance. Like if you can think of some of those rappers from like the 2000s that were kind of there, maybe Fat Joe, someone like that who kind of had, but Fat Joe had a lot of projects, but just kind of in that sense, someone who definitely reminds me of like Fabulous and trying to think of at least one more rapper that I can mention, like like Lloyd Banks or someone that had a hit career, but only for a certain amount of times. That's kind of the concept. But I do appreciate Tego Calderón, so we'll go ahead and start talking about the singles now, so we can get into this. So the first single is Los Mate, which in English translates to I Killed Them. So this is basically a diss song, and this is basically a diss song against Lido and Polaco. Don't know them, but it actually has a pretty rock solid tempo. It's a pretty up tempo kind of diss song. I definitely am encouraged by it because normally rap songs that are diss songs, like in English, do not have like a kind of club bounce to them. For the most part, they're just mainly about wanting to whip the person's ass and kind of get back at them, bust shots, that sort of stuff. But it's interesting just because it doesn't really feel like Tego Calderón talked too much about. I mean, even though he says he killed them, he's kind of like more. I don't know. It doesn't seem like he's really busting shots and getting pissed off like a normal kind of gangster rap musician kind of would do. But I do look at it like kind of within the concept that it's interesting just because it is kind of a dance number where you can kind of move your body a little bit to the song and kind of have like a groove to it and that type of stuff. So it is kind of a thumper in a lot of ways. I did appreciate the kind of bounce that the song had, just in an extra sense as far as being a diss song to kind of get people motivated who don't rock with that. I think I keep forgetting who it is. Like Lido and Polaco it's interesting when like people who support like it's interesting when people support diss songs and they don't rock with the person you're dissing either. So maybe because this was a dance song, maybe there were folks who didn't mess with Lido and Polaco just because they'd rather dance to this type of music. I don't know a bunch about Lido and Polaco, but I would wonder what their response kind of was and what they thought back in the songs they were doing that could keep up with Tego Calderón. But it's a pretty good song, just would have to say. So This, oh yeah, to talk about some of the lyrics, like one of the lines I liked on this song was when he says, "Bad manners with me does not go far." So I like that line in there. I mean, because this is not too high a song in like the English market, I don't know like how good the English translations of these are, but at least I was trying to find some of that. But there's one song on out of the singles on here that I wasn't even able to get a translation for, so it's just kind of, but the next single is Chillin', which also means relaxing and that type of stuff. But this is kind of like a smoking song. I definitely feel like this is an easygoing reggaeton. If you're a fan of reggae, whatever language you speak, this is an easy kind of song to smoke one to, get a swisher, a backwood, that type of stuff, put something in the air, get your pipes out, that type of stuff, just to be able to kind of have that sort of moment. It this is pure reggae. This is not like the standard kind of Latin rap kind of feeling. This really feels like something Bob Marley or Peter Tosh would do in a lot of senses. I just feel like it has that same type vibe. This really feels like you're just lounging in a lawn chair. Literally, the sun is sparkling, shining, that type of stuff. You can see the heat waves, and you kind of get the concept of just a nice smoke anthem, easy kind of summer song. Definitely, just not really a dance song. I would definitely have to say I get that vibe. But some of the lyrics I liked on here is, Don Omar is on this song also. It was difficult for me to distinguish. I mean, I'm glad that Don Omar was on the song, but here's some of the lines from both of them that I like. So, first verse, I like the line where they say, "Killing all my griefs with marijuana," and he also says, "I am the good, the bad, and the ugly." And then on the second verse, they say, "There are nice people, there are bad people. I measure them all with the same rod." So I like that concept, what he says on what they say on there. So they both have some good lines on there. I did like the kind of easygoing feel towards it, kind of getting a Latin rap smoke song. This, I think we need some of those. I don't know how many smoking songs Daddy Yankee did, especially for that to be a single and to kind of have like this kind of like to kind of channel like some Bob Marley vibes circa 2006, 2007 when he had been dead for like 25 years. That's pretty crazy to have gotten that and have like that concept as far as getting that in the good vibes. That definitely works as like an easygoing summer smoking song, that type stuff. And then the third single was Quando Bela Reggaeton, so which means when she dances reggae. I mean, it might also mean when he dances reggae. I'm not really sure. I'm assuming because Tego Calderón is straight that it means when she dances reggae. But just to kind of say, Quando Bela Reggaeton means when she dances reggaeton. Yeah, it means when she dances reggaeton. So there weren't English lyrics to this. I looked and I looked and I could not find a translation of this song. It was difficult and I didn't feel like piecing it together and finding phrases in the song and translating them themselves. But I do think it's an excellent dance song. This is produced by Looney Tunes of Daddy Yankee fame. So it's interesting to kind of get that and see that producer on there to work for him. And he gives him a pretty good hook. I would have to say I'm honestly surprised that this song didn't break out on the charts because it is pretty good. I mean, maybe it doesn't have quite as viral a hook as Rompe or Gasolina by Daddy Yankee, but it's definitely a thumper in terms of just being an excellent dance club kind of Latin rap song. Definitely does his business as far as being able to handle that, but it's just kind of, I do wish this song would have gotten more airplay because it would have been neat to have seen Tego Calderón on like the English airwaves and that type of stuff to see what he would have done. Because like I said, he didn't really put out that many albums, but this is a good one. This is probably the one I favor more. I like Chillin', Relaxin', and Quando Bela Reggaeton the most. But the other two singles are pretty good, but I'll get to that. So like the fourth single is Yora Yora, which means cry cry, and this is basically like not necessarily a breakup song, but an aftermath song after the breakup. Maybe it's been a week or a few weeks or a month or something like that. And it's kind of more of like the aftermath of like, okay, you're not in the picture. My heart's broke, your heart's broke. This is what's going to happen, that type of stuff. So it's just kind of that sort of, it's the situation for that sort of thing. And I look after it like here are a few lyrics I like from this song. So he says, if I look for you here, you go there, you go out there, which kind of means like if I'm doing this, you're doing that, which is the opposite. Basically saying if you're north, I'm south, that kind of thing. That's what I got from it, which is just trying to be kind of like, what's the word I'm looking, trying to be contrary basically, and you can see that for women being contrary and that type stuff. And then one of the lines I like that Tego Calderón says on this song also is he says, "Get yourself a priest for to confess to you for your misbehavior." It's kind of a strange line to say that in terms of that, but it's interesting enough that kind of happens. He basically tells the chick, "Get yourself a priest to confess for the crap that you did," and that type stuff. But I just would have to kind of say, I mean, this song was okay. This is another song that surprised me that was a dance song. Basically, all four of the singles are dance songs, but it's kind of surprising that Cry Cry was a dance song just because it's the context behind how it works is just very strange because you would think that this song would have had a little bit more kind of slowness to it, but it's just pretty. I'm dancing with some other chick right here, kind of, don't even give a shit whether or not, we just broke up, that type stuff. It's just kind of like completely just having a good time. Just it's just not really, the emotions don't really seem to match like the content of the song, where it's just kind of in a different vibe towards it. I think that's interesting enough that this song being an aftermath song, considering what he's saying in the lyrics, what he just got over, it doesn't make sense for it to be so quite in the dance club, probably having grind action with another woman in the song, just a thumper where you're dancing promiscuously with them and that type of stuff. But hey, it's just that's kind of the concept. I do like the song, but it's not my favorite of the singles. It's just kind of that's the concept. It is a good song, but I think I like Cuando Baila Reggaeton more, and I definitely like Chill and Relaxing. So out of the four singles on here, I liked all four of these, but the problem with it is like I said, this kind of seemed like more of like a local and kind of more regional kind of feeling, more so than like Daddy Yankee, and in lighter cases Don Omar's kind of mainstream breakout. So I just didn't sense like the breakout kind of feeling from Tego Calderón on here. I definitely think he's someone to check out if you know Daddy Yankee and Don Omar, and kind of are looking for someone else in that particular vibe. There's definitely some great dance cuts. All four of the singles are great dance cuts, but there's not really a breakthrough single that crosses over to English audiences. And I feel like Los Mate kind of did it, but it's just kind of because it's a diss song, it's difficult to kind of quite have the airplay. It just felt like maybe this record didn't, a diss song, a smoking song, at least the first two singles didn't have quite as even a topic. I mean, it just felt kind of more in like the hardcore Latin chart, just to kind of say this is more hardcore Latin rap more so than mainstream Latin rap that could have crossed over like Daddy Yankee. And that's fine. There's some good songs on here, but I would have liked a song like Gasolina or something. I'll go ahead and say, like, once again, Cuando Baila Reggaeton and then Chill and Relaxin' were the two favorites for me. I liked all four of them, but those are the best ones in my opinion. But Los Mate, I mean, all of these are pretty up-tempo. All four of them are up-tempo, dance-ready cuts. This is just a basic blockade of just, like, dance cuts to go nuts to. This is just a blockade of dance cuts to go nuts to, and kind of have some chicas dancing and that type of stuff, and get the bodies moving, that type of stuff. So it's a good vibe with that. So I'm gonna give this album, singles wise, out of 10, an 8.5 out of 10. I definitely feel like that's pretty strong, pretty solid. And the future, like, once again, Tego Calderón has not put out an album since 2015. So I do feel like he's kind of like in the Fabulous and Lloyd Banks territory, where he kind of had his window and that since dried up. But it is good that this is a pretty solid breakout album with the hits on there. And there's more than one, there's more than two, there's more than three. So that's just kind of the concept. I mean, I didn't review the album, but at least the singles were all pretty fiery in terms of getting you moving. So yeah, but the social score, I would have to say I would give like a 9 out of 10, just because all of these are up tempo kind of numbers, just to really kind of get moving. It's just the reason why I didn't give it a 10 is because it doesn't really have the breakout single, the true crossover gem in there. And then I just would have to kind of say, in terms of the future, it's been a while since Tego Calderón has kind of been around, but I would have to say I would like more records like this, but I don't know if he's too weathered to be able to do it. But I do at least want to eventually check out his 2007 album. So good stuff.